Blossom special here on WSM. These are a couple of my special guests together here on this record. This is called The Golden West. Butch Robins and Bill Monroe. This is from a new CD called Grounded, Centered, Focused, featuring Bill Monroe on the mandolin and Butch Robins on the 5-string, of course. And in the studio tonight, the father of bluegrass music, Bill Monroe. Good to see you, sir.
Well, Hairl Hensley, I'm glad that you let me come in.
Well, I'm glad that you took time out of your busy schedule and cutting hay. Well, I guess the ground's too wet, though.
Yes, too wet to cut hay.
A little too wet today. It'll have to dry a little bit, won't it, before you can get out there and do that. So just so happened, it happened on a Monday, and here we are in the studio at the Opryland Park.
I like to go to work on Monday.
Do you?
Yes, sir.
I kind of like that, too, Bill.
Yes, sir.
I really do. You've been... you went out to Long Hollow Park. When do you do the Long Hollow? I know you do the Grand Ole Opry on Friday and Saturday night.
I'm going to go out there tomorrow night. Tomorrow's Tuesday, ain't it?
Yeah, I think. If it doesn't rain.
Yeah, I'll be out there tomorrow night.
Good. All right. You got some stuff coming up, too. We'll talk about over at the Fanfare Bluegrass Show, the Martha White Bluegrass Night down at the Ryman, Bean Blossom Festival coming up, and I've got the information on that. Sitting right next to Bill in the studio is Butch Robins. Hi, Butch.
Hi, Harold. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great.
Great.
I hadn't seen you in a while, and you were backstage at the Grand Ole Opry the other night. Been listening to your music because I commented on a couple of albums that you had come out with called Bluegrass Band albums.
Yes, sir.
How many of these did you do? I've got a couple.
We did that first series. The one that you have here is called Once Again from the Top.
Yeah.
And that was a 2-CD, 3-tape set, and we sold a few of those and put a little money in the piggy bank, so it enabled us to do another set of them where we did gospel songs or sacred songs, and it was called Shine, Hallelujah, Shine. And basically we did the same thing with that we had done with Once Again from the Top, and that was go back from the inception of bluegrass from 1939 and try to pick some of the most popular songs that there had been in the music and try to do some kind of accurate recreation of them. And that took us up into the mid-60s was where we stopped off with these things that we were doing there.
So this was to introduce people to bluegrass music.
Yeah, if you're a bluegrass fan and your neighbor, you want to get them involved in it with you, I just created this because when I left Nashville down here and quit playing when I went back to school in 1982, I ran into a lot of folks, who didn't know bluegrass. Bluegrass wasn't a way of life for them like it was for me. Yeah. And I just put together these packages so, somebody could get pretty much the whole early ball of wax there in one package.
Were these CDs sold in stores, or were they all just on...
They were all on TV. When we started out, we were with CMT.
Yeah.
And I don't know who we wound up with then. I think we were run on the Americana network here as recently. But CMT, that was where we got the bulk of our sales right out front of the thing.
Well, I know I get a lot of requests for those. I still play a lot of those songs. And
had some awful good players on there.
Did.
Larry Stevenson, who's here in town now, was an anchor on that thing. He really helped out a lot on that, and the Shine package. He worked with me on that as well. So,
as a matter of fact, Larry's going to be over at the Ernest Turbine Jamboree this week. He was at the theater over there, the Troubadour Theater, with Mac Wiseman this past weekend, I think, and doing great work. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I think that you were with Bill at the time this record was released. It was a live recording, June 16th, 1979, at Bill Monroe's 13th Annual Bluegrass Festival in Bean Blossom, Indiana. And it featured Bill, of course, and you on the 5-string. Wayne Lewis was doing guitar, and Kenny Baker on the fiddle. And Randy Davis, at that time, I think, was playing bass. Let's listen.
Put your hands together. John Henry was a little colored boy. You hold him on the palm of your hand. gonna be a steel driving man, Lord, Lord. Son gonna be a steel driving man. Lay down, he's never ready, cried, Lord, Lord. Lay down, he's never ready, cried. Yourself today. John Henry told his captain, I wanna go to bed. Fix me a pallet, I wanna lay down. Got money rolling in my head, Lord, Lord. Money rolling in my head. Now I have another old timer that I would like to do for you. Some places we play, they really like this number, and we hope you'll enjoy it.
Well, we'll get to that one a little bit later. We're winding down on that little thing right there, Bill. That was, as I said, that was your 13th annual Bluegrass Festival at Bean Blossom, 1979. And a record that was produced by, who was it, Walter? Walter Haynes.
Walter Haynes was the producer,
yeah,
I think.
And Snuffy Miller was part of that, I think. And,
Harold?
Yes, sir.
I don't believe nobody could beat me singing John Henry.
I don't think so either.
Thank you.
I think it's been done.
That's a fine old timer.
Yeah, it really is. And you're going to have to bring that out and do it again, maybe over the Opry one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Now you're going to be. Let me get the at the Festival Park and Campground there, Bean Blossom, June 15th, 16th, and 17th, and the 18th. June 15th through the 18th. You got a bunch of folks up there. Of course, Bill's you're going to be there all day, all through the festival.
I'll stay right there with him.
Ralph Stanley's going to be in, Jim and Jesse, the Osborne Brothers, Mac Wiseman, Doyle Lawson, J.D. Crow, Larry Sparks, Bill Hairl, Bluegrass Cardinal, Sullivan Family, Eddie Adcock, Gary Brewer, the Goins Brothers, Petticoat Junction, Dallas Smith, and Vince Combs. And as I said, that is going to be in Brown County, Indiana, 5 miles north of Nashville, Indiana, on State Highway 135. You can't miss it. Just go into Nashville, Indiana, and turn right.
Right.
That's about all you have to do.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And going up to the park. We'll talk about the other things you're going to be doing, too, closer. Well, on June 5th, you're going to be out at the State Fairgrounds and then at the show down at Ryman Auditorium. Well, they've done a good job with the Ryman, haven't they, Bill?
Sure have. Fine.
Wonderful job renovating that place. Have you got to pick down there yet, Butch?
No, sir, I haven't. I've been by to see it, and, well, this whole town here is just amazing to me after a 12-year absence.
I know, it's just exploded, hasn't it?
They've done so much work downtown to change it. It's really incredible.
Yeah, I know, really have. Why don't you introduce me to your friend over there on to your right?
Our friend over here is Mike Compton. He was the mandolin player on the remainder of Grounded, Centered, Focused that Mr. Bill didn't play on.
Oh, okay.
And actually, he played on those parts that Mr. Bill did, too. They just came in. We had some twin mandolin work on it, and some of it Mike played and some of it Bill played. They just did some exchange.
Well, of all the mandolin pickers here in town, Mike probably comes the closest to playing like Bill as anybody I've ever heard.
Well, he can say a whole lot with just a few notes, the way
That's
Mr.
right.
Bill. They don't have to run all up down the neck.
They
They just make the instruments talk for them. Both of them have that quality in their playing.
And it's hard to tell sometimes which is which, on a record.
I have a lot of call-ins on this thing. People calling my house asking who did what on what.
Is that right?
The thing,
Didn't know the difference. Mm-hmm. Well, Mike, you've been around for a long time here in Music City, USA.
Yes, sir. Since '77.
Yeah, and picked on a lot of sessions, and of course I see your name coming up, and Been over at the Midnight Jamboree a couple of times.
Sure I have. Sure I have.
Taking over there. Well, it's good to have you here in the studio.
Yeah, thanks.
And you've got some things out on your own. You and David.
David Greer.
Yeah.
We've got a couple things out. I've worked some on his, and actually I'm doing more work now that I'm not in a band than I was when I was in the band.
Is that right?
It's picking up more and more all the time.
That's a nice way to be. You know, that's a nice situation to be in. What about you, Butch? You've got a lot of things on the back burner too, don't you?
Well, they're sort of coming to the front burner now.
Oh, are they?
I've been working in Japan for the last 3 years, trying to do a month tour over there each spring.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just over there to do a benefit for the Red Cross for the victims of the Kobe, Osaka earthquakes. And let's see, what am I going to do this spring? I'm going to Bean Blossom. I won't be playing there. I think that's, I visit a lot of my father's old friends up there.
Okay.
My father helped Mr. Bill in the park up there years and years ago. He was an electrician. He came in and helped wire the place, and that's one place I get to go to see all his friends, you know, and reminisce about my father.
Well, there'll be enough going on in the parking lot too, I guess. Keep
Oh yeah, lots of friends play all night. I mean, you can play till daylight up there every day. And then next time I see him again, I think will be July 4th weekend. I'm doing a guy named Carlton Haney is putting on the 30th anniversary of the first Bluegrass Festival. He actually held the first one at Fincastle, Virginia, and after 2 years they moved to Berryville, and he's doing that anniversary festival up there again. So I think I'll get to join Mr. Bill for a tune up there too, and I really look forward to that.
That'll be great. Well, Bill, I know that you really enjoy going to Bean Blossom. You've seen that grow from, you know, just some woods and a pasture up there, haven't you?
Well, Hairl, it's a fine country up there, and there's some good friends and fans that comes out for the show, and they come from all over the whole country, and I'm always glad to see them and talk to them and shake hands with them, and next year they'll be back again.
How come you decided on Bean Blossom, Indiana?
Well, there's a fellow worked for me from up in Indiana, and he found out that it was up for sale, you know. And so he talked to me about buying it. He thought I should buy it, you know, so I have a place to play up there for the folks. So I went right on and done it.
Well, that's a simple story. That's, you know, I thought it was going to be more complicated than that, but you just decided to buy it. How many acres?
I believe there's 90 or 94, something right like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's no other festival around Bean Blossom, is there? I mean, that's the only one in that part of the country.
Yes, sir.
And of course, festivals have grown so much, and now they're going to the inside. You know, they've for the last few years they just play right on through the winter.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And that's great. And most of the people I talk to are working more today than they ever have, which is good.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Very good.
So I guess more and more people are making their living by playing bluegrass music.
It was really interesting in his first festival up there. I played the first Bean Blossom
with
Bill.
Yeah.
In 1967, I'd just gotten out of high school, and he hired me. And we held a whole festival in the barn. The back part of the park hadn't been used. They had been using that through the 50s and the early 60s for country music shows. And at that point, I think Bill's brother Birch was running the park when he brought that up. And then we went up there in 1967. Byron Burline was the fiddle player in the band. And James Monroe was the bass player. Roland White was the guitar player. And I was the banjo player in that. And I remember we went up there on a Monday and worked a TV show in Indianapolis. And then he got us out. We had to go out and get these folding chairs and everything. I know he worked us, I ain't going to say like dogs, but it was close for a whole week up there for the festival, and then had us playing all day and all night. And he booked a bunch of singles in, booked folks in as singles, and we had to back them up.
Yeah, we had to back them up.
We'd work all day and play.
Yeah, played all night.
The show would go.
When did the beans come into play? How long ago was that? We used to cook those beans up there. You still do that?
I believe that they still do that.
And they still do that on the grounds up there?
Well, they've done some fine cooking up there, you know, and I really love to eat beans like that.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Big old onions and beans. You know, that's the first thing. Hal Durham and I talk about, you know, we talk about the food about as much as we do the music when we go up there. I want to play a song before we go to the news time that Nashville Bluegrass Band did. They're a very fine group here in in Music City. And the reason why I want to play this is that Jimmy Rogers, this Friday, May 26, died Friday, May 26, 1933. That would be 62 years ago. The Nashville Bluegrass Band.
Come along, my dear, the time is drawing near. We'll have to walk down where the field is overgrown. Consumption claimed his life, and we dare not miss the sight of a train carrying Jimmy Rogers home. We've had some hard times these past few years. We lost the farm, almost lost our spirits too. Oh, but it's the strangest thing when we heard that man sing. Oh, we knew somehow we'd make it through. I can hear that whistle blow, that old train is rolling slow. Sounds like it's crying for the singing brakeman too. Back to the sunny south he'll go, and he'll never roam no more. Here comes the train carrying Jimmy Rogers home. Come here, my little son, and let me hold you up. I want you to remember when you are grown, how your mama and your dad were so proud and so sad, watching the train carrying Jimmy Rogers home. I can hear that whistle blow, that old train is rolling slow. Sounds like it's crying for the singing brakeman too. Back to the sunny south he'll go, and he'll never roam no more. Here comes the train carrying Jimmy Rogers home. There goes the train carrying Jimmy Rogers home.
Yes, the Nashville Bluegrass Band. That's called the train that carrying Jimmy Rogers home. And Mike Compton, you were on that.
Yes, sir, it was.
That was the luck of the draw there, wasn't it? I'm glad I played that one tonight.
Harold,
Yes, sir.
how old was you when I saw Mule Skinner on the Grand Ole Opry?
How old was I?
Yes, sir.
That
was in 39.
I was 3. I was 3 years old.
Well, you're a lot bigger now, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. A lot uglier, too. I'll tell the world that much. Yeah, you first did that in 1939,
Yes,
wasn't
sir.
it?
Got 3 encores.
Where was the Opry at that time? You remember?
Oh, you asked me something now that's hard for me
Was
to
it the
remember.
Tabernacle? 1939? Yeah, that's
kinda
probably
was-
where it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
It was over in East Nashville. And they'd already moved out of the Hillsborough Theater and gone to East Nashville, I think, at that time. And traveled a lot of miles, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
When did you get your first bus? Do you remember?
Oh, I can't remember that either.
Was it after the Second World War, or?
That's been, I guess it's been probably 30 or 40 years ago when we got that bus.
Is that right? So you traveled in the car?
Yeah.
Where'd you put the bass? On top of the car? Or
Yes,
did,
sir.
Did
Yes,
you
sir.
have a trailer?
Put it up on top.
Did you?
Yeah.
You carried a horse with you for a while, though,
Yes,
didn't
sir.
you?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Horse in the trailer.
Yeah.
Was it a trick horse?
It's a fine riding horse.
Was it? Riding horse.
Yeah.
Then you had the baseball team. We'll talk about this, the baseball team. I remember you coming to Madison, Middle Tennessee one time and just whipped the devil out of those boys down there that were trying to put together a team. And And you had one of the finest baseball teams I ever saw. They, all the American Legions, you know, would get a team against Bill. Nobody could whip them. I think you ran some ringers in on them. I think you had some professionals in there.
That's right. Yes,
He's admitting it after all these years. We've got some news coming away right now on WSM, and I'll be back on the other side with some more music for you right here on WSM. Right now, here's Rob with today's top stories. Rob Taylor.
Hairl, it was
This is Bill Monroe and Butch Robins, my special guest tonight. Yes, Bill Monroe, along with Mike Compton. Mike was doing some mandolin work on that one right there. Butch Robins, and let's see, who else was on here?
Jimmy Campbell, fiddle player.
David Greer, and Marvin Cochran was doing the acoustic bass.
Yes, sir.
I'd Like to Be Over Yonder.
Right.
Is the title of that one right there.
You know who gave it that title? Jeannie Pruitt gave it that title.
Is she the one that did that?
I couldn't come up with the title. I wrote so many numbers, you know.
Uh-huh.
And so I asked her, could she come up with a good title? So that's what she gave it.
Well, all right. And I guess she knows that this record is out now.
She's a fine lady.
Yeah, she really is. cooks good collard greens over there too, Bill.
Yeah. You know, way back under, I used to have a ball club.
Yes, we talk. Yeah, I want to talk to you about that ball club. Yep.
I'd like to talk to you about this and see what you think. And it's way on back in years.
Uh-huh.
And I was playing it. I believe I was playing Atlanta, Georgia. I'm not sure. And there was a good friend of mine from St. Louis there. What was him? Pitcher's names up there?
Oh my.
The Dean brothers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Dizzy Dean. Don't you remember him?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Dizzy Dean. He told me, said Bill, said if you need anybody to play for you, pitch for you here, said I'd be glad to come in and do it.
Is that right?
But the pitcher I had, he just went held right along and held him down good, you know.
Yeah, he did. He did that day I saw him.
Yeah.
He did. He had a great ball club. Did you ever see them play?
No, sir. I wasn't 3 when he was on there. Give me a break here.
Dizzy Dean was a powerful pitcher, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He was with St. Louis with
Well,
him.
now when? Oh, yeah. Well, of course I do. I don't remember Dizzy Dean except him being on the television, you know. But Roy. No, that wasn't his brother's name. They called him Dizzy and Daffy, wasn't it? But anyway, when did you cut out the ball club?
I don't know. I started.
Was it in the 50s or the 60s?
I believe so. I was traveling on the road an awful lot, you know. And
Yeah.
It was hard to take them along with me.
Then you had a bad wreck back there too, didn't you? That,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That laid you up for
Yes,
a
sir.
while.
Yeah. I was in one wreck that had 19 broken bones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember them talking about
They
that.
taken me to the hospital, and I got out and walked in myself. Went in.
You did?
Yes, sir. That's
Golly.
pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yes,
It
sir.
really is. Well, of course, you're a strong man anyway. You've told me about moving those barrels or picking those barrels up and rolling them around.
Yeah, something I'm really proud of. I could roll 2 barrels at a time, you know. One
Yeah.
in the right hand and one in the left.
What was it? Were they empty or were they full of something?
It'd be empty. And
55, well, they're big old, you know, big
now,
old barrels. Were
it
they whiskey barrels or what were they?
was oil barrels, you know.
Yeah, oil barrels, those big old drums.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
55-gallon drums.
If they was laying flat down, I could pick them up with my right hand and set them up. My hands up to good Lord, I could do that.
Now, all you mandolin players listening in, that's the way you exercise.
And
right?
He did it ever since I've known him. Since '63, I've seen him do things like that.
I know it, yeah.
You know, I worked there at Sinclair Refinery up there near East Chicago, Indiana, between East Chicago and Whiting, Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the barrel room there where I'd be cleaning barrels, you know, and they'd put gas in the barrels, and I'd shake them. I could have 16 ready to go on the lineup out there, you know, where we'd dry them all out.
Golly.
Yes, sir.
Were you also picking bluegrass at that time, or country, or
I was just playing some good old-time
old-time music at that time,
yes,
right?
like Uncle Penn used to play.
Yeah. And where'd you get the idea of Uncle Penn? Was that just come to you, or had you been thinking about it a while?
Well, he used to come to see us there when we lived there in Kentucky, you know.
Yeah.
He was my mother's brother.
Uh-huh.
And he'd come there and bring his fiddle along. We'd listen to him fiddle after we'd have supper every night. Then we'd sit around and he'd play the fiddle. And he was a wonderful uncle. And so I was so glad to meet him. And after my father and mother had passed away, why he had a cabin up above Rosine, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he let me come up there, and I batched with him, you know. And he used to cook for me up there way up on the hill. And that was when I was getting up in my teens, you know.
Yeah.
And he was a fine uncle.
Were you out working on the farm at that time, or were you doing?
I was driving 2 horses or 4 horses.
Oh, were you?
Hauling timber, you know, but back in the
Yeah.
woods, hauling cross ties or telephone poles.
Just snake them out of there. Or you put them on
I'd take the
sled, or?
I'd take the 2 horses up in front, you know.
Yeah.
And I'd load them with the 2 horses.
Uh-huh.
And then I'd boom them down myself, you see. And I'd put a chain around them up in front, and way back in the back, I'd put another chain back there. Some of the poles was 25 foot long, you know, and some was 45 foot long. So but I knew how to do it. I'd seen my father and all of my brothers take care of that kind of stuff. And so
Well, that's something else. How come you to start playing the mandolin? Did somebody just, give you one, or how'd that come about?
Well, my brothers, you see, they wanted to play the fiddle. Birch did.
Yeah.
And Charlie, he wanted to play the guitar and sing.
Okay.
So they
Now, they both were older than you,
yes,
right? Okay.
All that was left was a mandolin for me.
So you got what's left, huh?
Now taking the mandolin, and I think that the mandolin, helped me out with coming up with a music of my own, the bluegrass music.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Harold, this fellow sitting right over here is Bob Francis. He's from out in Texas, you see. He's a good friend of mine. And
does he play a fiddle and say, "Hi, Bob, how you doing,
he
sir?"
plays the guitar and sings. Plays the guitar and sings.
Oh, does he?
He's a good worker, though.
Well, okay. Well, that's...
And I'm glad that Butch is up here with me tonight, and Mike over there was really fine. And I just like to come back again and see you up here and talk to you, and talk to my friends.
Yeah, sure. I hope you will come back. I hope this won't be the last time.
No, I'll be back.
Hope I'm not running you off.
No, you're not.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much.
Well, now wait a minute. Now we're not through here yet. I did want to play a song from that the Bluegrass Band album because I had talked so much about it, and this is "I Saw the Light," which you've added to the country album, Butch, instead of the gospel, wasn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And are these still available, or?
Yes, sir. They're available through my partner. He has a little label up there called Hay Holler Harvest. He's in Blacksburg, Virginia, and he records some of the groups that are in the IBMA. He's a member of the board of directors there now, and he records some of the newer groups, like your Sand Mountain Boys, and recently put out a thing on Wayne Henderson.
Yes, I remember that.
Some of the other groups, that are around. He's I think he's been in business now for 4 years. I think he's got about 25, 30 records in his catalog at this point.
Well, that's great.
He's going on and on.
And you can write to those folks in Blacksburg, Virginia, right?
Yes, sir.
At 24060. And if you like the address, it's 1691 Luster's Gate Road. Luster's Gate Road, Blacksburg, Virginia. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, did I talk about the Fairgrounds, June 5th? I may have, but I'm going to go through it again, Bill. You and the Bluegrass Boys are going to be out there. This is the first day of fanfare. We always have the Bluegrass Show from 7 until 10 p.m. at the State Fairgrounds. Tickets are only $5 a piece for those of you who want to buy single tickets to come out and see this great Bluegrass Show. You can't get into a Bluegrass Festival for that, can you? $5 a ticket. Anyway, Bill, Monroe, the Bluegrass Boys, Jim and Jesse, the Osborne Brothers, Nashville Bluegrass Band, the new Coon Creek Girls, Larry Stevenson Band, Del McCurry Band, Seasoned Travelers, Laurel Canyon Ramblers, which is the new group that's just formed out of 4 or 5 others. Anyway, Herb Peterson and the bunch, they're going to be picking some good music.
This is the springtime. That's all supposed to happen in the fall.
Yeah, I know.
Usually when the band starts.
That's right, in the fall. Third time, maybe that happened in the fall. They're just now getting the record out. Maybe that's the way it is. Third time out is going to be out there, and also Mac Wiseman. Now, let me tell you about the Martha White Bluegrass Night, which is going to start at the Ryman on the 13th of June, and opening up once again for this year is Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys. You're going to have a former Bluegrass boy there with you that night, Del McCurry and his fine group. And then on the 20th, Allison Krause and Union Station. 27th, Ricky Skaggs. And then July the 4th, Laurie Lewis and Grant Street Band, along with Front Range, the group out of Colorado. And let's see, on the 11th, Doc Watson in Chesapeake. On the 18th, J.D. Crow, New South, along with Glenn Duncan, Larry Cordell, and Lonesome Standard Time. 25th of July, the Nashville Bluegrass Band and the Cox Family. On August 1st, Jim and Jesse and the Virginia Boys, along with the Osborne Brothers. On the 8th of August, Marty Stewart and Friends. Peter Rowan on the 15th with Sam Bush and Jerry Douglas. Then on the 22nd, Lonesome River Band and Third Time Out. And then closing out, once again, like they did last year, it's Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys and Ralph Stanley and the Clinch Mountain Boys. So it's going to be good. It really is. So get your tickets and come on out. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for being with me tonight. I've really enjoyed it, Butch and Mike, and of course you, Mr. Bill. It's always good to see you. You're going to be in this weekend, aren't you? Once again at the Opry?
I'll be there. Let's see.
It's on one night, I think. When is it, Friday or Saturday?
I'll be there Friday and Saturday. Maybe.
I can't. Or is it both nights? Well, anyway, I'll be looking for you, though. Have you got your list with you?
I don't have a list.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, We'll be looking for you there anyway, okay?
Fine.
And come back and see me.
I want to do that.
All right. Butch,
Thanks, Harold.
it's always
I
good
really
to see
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, and come back and see me again. Mike, I'll see you down the road.
All right.
See you all later, okay?
I saw the light, no more darkness, no more night. Now I'm so happy, no sorrow inside. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. Just like a blind man